If Millionaires were a political party, that party would be less than 7% of the country, but it would be more than 60% of the U.S. Senate. Millionaires would actually have unified control of government. They'd have a supermajority in the Senate, a man in the White House, and a majority on the Supreme Court. Working class people, if people in manual labor and service industry jobs, if they were a party, they would make up more than half of the country for the last 100 years, but would never have held more than 2% of the seats in Congress from 1900 to the present day. And so the research question I have is does it matter that Congress looks so different from the country it represents? If a politician's never hung sheetrock, if a politician's never punched a time card, does that affect the way they see the way they see policies like business regulations, minimum wage? And I started, finding that when I was looking at information about how they vote or information about the kinds of bills politicians introduce, what they did for a living really matters. Economic policy is more pro-business and less pro-worker than it would be if Congress were made up of the same mix of people as the country as a whole. A lot of people ask me, well, isn't this what voters want? This is a democracy. If all of our elected representatives are white-collar professionals, doesn't that mean that that's what the public wants? And the answer is just a little bit more complicated, because by the time voters get to the voting booth, the choice is already made for them. They have, a lawyer or a business person, a doctor or an architect. Voters almost never get to vote on a blue-collar candidate. Political scientists don't yet know exactly what it is that's keeping working class people out of public office, and that's something that I'm going to be working on in the next few years. There are lots of different possibilities. It could be, the cost of running an election. It could be the difficulty of taking time off work. It could be the uncertainty associated with giving up a good job for a political career that could end 2 years later. It could be differences in skills. It could be differences in connections to the party gatekeepers who recruit people to run for office. At this point, there are lots and lots of theories, but not very much evidence. And so the next step in my research is going to be trying to determine what it is exactly that's keeping working class people out of public office.